Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up, a Friday edition of Middays with Q coming at you. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on this 8th of August, 2025. You can certainly get in on the conversation. A lot of football talk on this day, and we'll mix in some baseball, slip in a little NBA nuggets as well. John Bueller is going to join me at 5:05 for his weekly spot. But always good to have you guys out here on a What the Frig Friday. And yeah, there's a lot I can pretty much say on a What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. But as always, you can get social with me. Pretty easy to do at Rich Q on Q. And of course, don't forget, you can follow along on the YouTube channel, Triax57 as well. Preseason underway last night in the NFL. You get a boatload of games this evening. You get some games tomorrow. Last night, you had the Raiders money line. I kind of feel bad for you, but hey, that's why it's called betting, is it not? 23-23, that blocked field goal at the end of the game. If you watched the Eagles last night, you probably think you got a viable option as a backup quarterback that you can kind of dangle to the Dallas Cowboys from Micah Parsons. That's not happening. The Eagles got the 34-27 win. And then the Ravens, who never lose preseason games, it seems. They get the win over the Colts last night. And in that game, what was very interesting is that Anthony Richardson, Lloyd Vance and I spoke about Anthony Richardson, what was it, yesterday, the day before? We talk about how he's always injury prone, and is this the year that he actually breaks through? And what happens? I think it was the first or second play from scrimmage. He drops back to pass, and then he gets hit. He gets absolutely clocked, banged up hand, banged up finger, out of the game. It looks like he'll return Saturday, according to multiple sources. But that's pretty, you watched that play last night, and the Ravens linebacker came in absolutely untouched in the first quarter. And I mean, is that the Colts' way of saying we want another quarterback out there? Nonetheless, he underwent x-rays at halftime, which were negative, which if you're a Colts fan, I don't know if that's good news. I don't know if that's bad news. Daniel Jones comes in, and he was kind of a mixed bag. Daniel Jones made a couple good plays, and then he made a couple plays that I am all too familiar with as a Giant fan. I'm watching him play Richardson right now. I mean, that linebacker came in off the edge untouched. I mean, nobody blocked him. I'm looking to see if the fullback or a tight end. No, the running back literally just olayed him, number 21. I mean, you get your quarterback killed like that. So that's a story to watch going forward, and that injury. And then obviously tonight, everyone's going to be glued to the tube. I don't even think that game's on the NFL Network. I thought it would be, but you've got the Browns and the Panthers, and here we go. The Browns and the Panthers, and now it's all about Shedeur Sanders, right? It's all about Shedeur Sanders. And I'll say this, you've got a quarterback right now that is, we're going to see to some extent exactly where Shedeur Sanders is. And I believe you can have this conversation about Shedeur Sanders left and right, up and down until the cows come home. I have no idea what to expect tonight. I know Dion basically said he's going to go out. He's going to cause problems. He's going to light up the world. Hey, that's fine. The narrative that Louis Riddick is trying to push and ESPN is trying to push, this kid's not, he hasn't had a career, so he can't be playing for a career. Like, let him go out and see what he can do a little bit. And I'll watch. I'll be fascinated to see exactly what goes on tonight, right? So, like I said, man, I'll say this. If the kid goes out and he plays well, as some of you guys pointed out yesterday, all it does is strengthen his case to wrestle away that starting job from a guy like Joe Flacco. If he goes out and he stinks up the joint, there's no reason to come on the air on Monday, or you guys come on the air, whoever is doing the talking head deal on the weekend and say the guy stinks, the kid stinks. You're gonna oversell it, undersell it. You're going to overhype them. You're going to underhype them. That's all that really is. That's all that really is. Especially when you're thinking about or looking at a guy like Shedeur Sanders. He's a young kid. He's going to have an opportunity to go out and make a couple plays. And I hope he does because it'll give us something to talk about. Either way, we're going to have something to talk about regarding Shedeur Sanders. But it's a fascinating situation going on with the Cleveland Browns because everyone basically wants to make, X, Y, and Z a scapegoat. You got all these different writers basically kind of, going back and forth talking about the set up to fail narrative, right? We're being sabotaged or all this other crap. Lewis Riddick, who's still, vying for, he wants a GM job so bad. You got RG3 talk. If you get an opportunity to go out there, just like every other single solitary player, and you're under center, or you're flanked out left, or flanked out wide, or you're in the backfield, or you're a DN, or you're a cornerback, or a defensive back, or a safety, and the coach says, go out there, you're getting reps, you're going to get meaningful reps. It's up to you to make the most of it, period. So this stupid notion that he's set up to fail is just ludicrous. It really is. Nobody wants to see this kid fall on his face. Nobody does. Seriously. I don't care whether he was drafted in the first, second, third, fourth, or in this case, the fifth round. Whether Cleveland wanted him or not, they drafted him. Who cares? Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. So you can look at the odds of this kid being cut, this kid not being cut, this kid being a starter, this could be in a viable option, this could be in a backup, this could be, a starter that plays in the NFL for 10 years. Nobody knows. Nobody does. No one's trying to set this kid up to fail. You go out there, guys block, guys make plays. Now, last night, did the kid, go in untouched against Anthony Richardson and that Colts offensive line? Yeah, bad look, but no one's going to purposely Olay for this kid to take a hit. It's just stupid. It's a lazy ass take. It really is. Go out and ball. Because if the kid goes out and balls, then you can't turn around and be like, oh, he was set up to fail. No, 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 no. Oh, by the way, he was actually set up to succeed. Now, I don't know, again, how it's going to play out. All I know is this. It's the preseason. It's the preseason. So all we can talk about is what we see in front of us. That's it. And then we make a call. We make a judgment on it. We have an opinion based on it. Like last night, you're watching this preseason game with the Philadelphia Eagles, and what happens? You get the goofy fans that see a kid goes 20 of 25 for 252 and 2 touchdowns. Oh, you got to dangle that kid to the Dallas Cowboys for Micah Parsons. Just stop with the nonsense. Dallas isn't trading this kid. They're not trading Parsons for this kid. Stop. It's a freaking preseason game. Yeah, the kid looked good. Great. He was efficient. He was a star last night in preseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. But, he can play. He's a starter in the league. All right. Well, he was a 6th-round draft pick. Everyone just pump the brakes. That's it. Just pump the brakes when it comes to the preseason. We want to jump to these conclusions. We want to make these rash, knee-jerk reactions. And I'm telling you, at times it's it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It's a hot take. It's a cold take. It's a bad take. It's a lazy take. What the Browns did is screw themselves by having 5 quarterbacks on the roster. Again, it's an organizational fail. It's an organizational fail. That's all that is. But we got a little taste of football last night, which is always a good thing. You'll get it tonight again. Lions and the Falcons, Browns and the Panthers, Washington and the Patriots, and then we get a nice little dip tomorrow. So we'll get your thoughts on Sanders preseason, obviously the Cleveland Browns, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. It's a perfect example. No one's setting up Anthony Richardson to fail in Indianapolis. Kid just got hurt. He's shown that he can be very inconsistent, sporadic, and he's injury prone. And if Daniel Jones was more than just a serviceable journeyman quarterback at this point of his career, he would basically have just wrestled that job away. He could have made it so easy for Indianapolis after last night, if he actually played well, and again, it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag. He had one really nice play where he eluded the rush, slid a little bit, and was rolling towards his left and threw across his body, like, just flung his wrist with the right hand for the first down pick up, the third down conversion. It was a really nice play. It was kind of like, if you will, vintage Daniel Jones, if there's such a vintage Daniel Jones out there. Those are the plays that coaches get excited about. But then you also have the overthrow. You got the bad sack that he took, and not knowing when to kind of pull it down and run with it. So Indianapolis has some issues from their quarterback standpoint as well. Eagles fans are already getting giddy because the Eagles won a friggin' preseason game. Just relax. All right, we're going to open it up as well. 12 past 4 o'clock hour. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the running backs. We also talked about the wide receivers, player props, the seasonal totals. We had a lot of fun doing that. That audio's up on Amazon Podcasts and, of course, Spotify as well. That's part of our Back Your Play BYP20, the promo code for Fresh Roasted Coffee. I'll get into some thoughts, comments on Facebook as well on X, and, of course, the YouTube channel right here on a Friday edition of Middays with Q. Keep it locked in. Rich Quinones here. As I mentioned, we'll take you up to 6 o'clock. John Bueller is going to join us at 5:05. You can always get social with us as well. What made you say, what the frig this week in the world of sports? And, don't have anything to do with what's going on in the WNBA. Because that in itself is just ridiculously just goofy what's going on. Let's just throw certain objects on the court, which is never a good look. I mean, it's like every day now. Did that kind of make me see what the frig? Yeah, it kind of did. All right, 13 past 4 o'clock hour. We'll crank it up. We'll get to your comments on the other side. Don't forget, we'll take you up to 6 o'clock. John Bueller at 5:05. It's a Friday edition of Middays with Q.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Become a champion with us in Atlantic City.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pesco. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609 484 9800.
All right, 416 on a busy Friday. Let's see what you guys have to say. We'll open up. We'll get to some tweets as well, Facebook messages. Nick and Wallingford chimes in. I think McKee can be more than a serviceable quarterback. I'm not going to say I'm going to trade him right away, but the kid looked good. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, the kid McCord didn't. Kid from Syracuse. But again, he was a 6th-round draft pick, I think like 181. You like when young guys shine, no doubt. Now, if you take anything away, the kid played well, but the corner struggled last night for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that might be an issue going forward. So listen, it's always the knee-jerk reaction, right? It's the knee-jerk reaction right away. So this kid has a really good preseason game. And now let's have that imaginary argument or that imaginary debate, right? Let's throw him around and say, hold on a second, the Jets should look at him. Miami should look at him. Oh, Cleveland should look at him. Why the hell not? That's one more quarterback, you make it a half a dozen. I mean, is McKee right now better, for everyone that's sitting there talking about McKee and then you want to talk and glorify on Sanders right now, is McKee better than every quarterback the Cleveland Browns have on their roster? Now, Baltimore might use him as a backup. Hey, how about Indianapolis? Sure, you're going to dangle the kid because of his performance. But nobody's sitting here saying you're going to get a Micah Parsons or, a 2nd-round draft pick, right? I mean, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So to Nick's point, yeah, get it. But, let's just, again, pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. Legendary Sanders, let's go. I know you saw his former teammate, Wester, take a punt to the house last night. Had to check in from the summer bunker in Cape May, give you a ratings boost with my hot takes. More like, sucky takes of late, but that's okay. Bring something to the table, will you, de facto? Go Browns, baby. Scott is all wound up. There we go. Vince, Kurt Warner has a great tweet about the Richardson sack. Says it's totally on the QB, left side, left quarterback has to read the hot wide receiver. Yeah, but you know what? That's all well and good, and it's easy for Warner to say that. But you also, if you're a running back, pick up the friggin' blitz, chip. I mean, whether we want to sit there and call it on Richardson or not, that's fine. But running back also missed his assignment. You do have to chip right there. I don't think Richardson's a very good quarterback. I said that. I mean, I've said it a couple of times. The kid's always injured, and he's too inconsistent. And shame on me for thinking he was going to put up some numbers last year, and then he got hurt. Lake Tarzan chimes in redemption. My man C from Florida. All right, my God, pots and pans. Here we go with the nonsense already. With the Eagles, Eagles look like they're winning in practice. McCord brought shame to everyone in Mount Laurel. It's preseason. It is preseason, right? You guys going to get excited over preseason? You get excited over preseason for certain players, but not as a team as a whole. Nobody cares if you go 4-0 in preseason. Nobody cares if you go 0-4 in preseason, 0-5. You're in preseason for a couple reasons. If you're Cleveland, you want to see what the heck you have with Shedeur Sanders. If maybe you're the Giants, you want to kind of see what you have with Dart in limited reps, even though you already have starters in Russell Wilson and a backup in Winston. If you're the Jets, you want to see what you have in Justin Fields. And for a lot of these other teams that are set at the quarterback position, all you want to do is get out of preseason unscathed. Once in a while, you'll get that diamond in the rough, the gunner, the kid playing special teams who makes an impact, like Terrell Davis playing special teams as a rookie with Denver, just absolutely blowing up a guy on a kick return, and that caught the attention of the head coach. So we're talking about these death battles, right? Second, third team stringers. These guys got to make some plays that they have to stand out in some capacity. That's what you're looking for. If you're turning around, you're looking at a Sanders, and you're more concerned if Cleveland wins the game, then you got some problems. You're going to watch tonight because you want to see if Shedeur Sanders could be a viable option for the Browns at the quarterbacking spot. You want to see if some of these young quarterbacks who are going to get their feet wet and get their reps can see if the game slows down a little bit before you get to real live action, big time action a couple Sundays from now. That's all you're looking at. That's all you're looking for, right? That's really it. Real Browns fans only want to see what he can do. No more show us what we've been waiting for 30 plus years. See, Scott gets it. Scott gets it. He doesn't care if the Browns win tonight. He wants to see if the Browns are down 6 early on. Sanders maybe throws a pick and he shakes it off, and then he goes 5 of 6 for 76 yards and he sticks a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That's all. That's all he wants to see. That's all Browns want to see. Does the kid have a little bit of the makeup? Is there that quarterback DNA in Sanders? We know it is. We know he has it. We just want to see it. We want to see it because of where the kid was drafted, all the hype, who he is, who his father is, Deion Sanders, Colorado, Coach Prime, here we go, all the fanfare, all the talk, all the narratives, all the agendas. It'll end for at least a half or so tonight. And then we will overreact because that's what we do. We will overreact. I will tell you this right now, as De Facto likes to say, you can mark the tape. If Sanders goes out and goes 5 of 16 for 86 yards and a pick, I'm not going to come on the air and call him a bust on Monday. I'm not. It's going to be one preseason game and a couple series. It's all about reps. It's all about reps. All you want to see is something positive. That's it. That's all you want to see. 4 or 5, 56 yards, couple third down conversions, and he scrambles. Hey, not bad. That's all you're looking to see. Who was the kid last night? The kid got drafted by the kid from Alabama, right? Milroe. You know I'm going to put you. Milroe. Kid looked good. He had a couple nice plays. I mean, and good for him. You know, he said it was a dream come true. He made a couple nice plays. You know, you see the raw talent in the kid, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is going to be a 10-year starter. He went 6 of 10 for 61 yards. He ran the ball 3 times for 38 yards. He had a 27-yard run, which was really nice. And then he had an 11-yard scamper, which came back because of holding. Made a couple nice plays. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say he's going to be the Raiders quarterback for the next 10 years, but that's what you're looking for, right? That's all you're looking for. I'm sorry, Seattle quarterback. That's all you're looking for. That's all you want. Seattle goes away from that game saying, okay, here you go. Here you go. You know, Sam Darnold wasn't going to play. You already know you got a journeyman quarterback and a veteran in Drew Lock. So this kid gets some opportunities, and he does what you're supposed to do. He led them on a scoring drive. And as a rookie, your first cup of coffee in the NFL in a preseason game, first couple series, that's all you can ask. That's it. Sam Darnold got paid. Sam Darnold got the bag. Sam Darnold cashed in on his season with Minnesota. He is the Seattle Seahawks starter, period, going forward. But this kid, you know, showed a little promise. He showed a little promise. That's all you're looking for tonight with Sanders. That's it. That's it. The narrative will be if he succeeds, he overcame the setup to fail, right? We as fans just want a winner. Brady, Manning, Elway. If he succeeds, though, no one's setting him up to fail, though. That's the thing. You're not wasting a draft pick so you can screw a kid. You're not. You're not wasting a draft pick so you can turn around and say, man, we showed him. I don't care if it's a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick. You're not doing that. I mean, that's malpractice. Like, you need to get fired if you do that. And we already know the GM's not high on the kid or the owner's not high on the kid. So he's got an opportunity to make it harder for them. That's all. It's like, think about you coming into the NFL and you're primarily a special teams gunner, but you're the running back and you get some spot carries, a little cleanup duty here and there. You're not going to supplant the starter, but the better you play, you know, you show that you can play special teams, you can be that gunner. You know, when you're in there, you don't fumble because that'll send a rookie running back to the bench. That'll end careers early on. But you can pick up the blitz, you can catch the ball in the backfield a little bit. You're a team player. You know, you're understanding your blitz pickup, your assignments, you're running hard, 2 hands, fundamentals. and you're showing a little burst, you're being productive when you're on the field, you are now making it harder come Monday when the running backs coach, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, they kind of look at film and they say, wait a second, who's that 22? Oh, look at that Johnson. Had a pretty good game, right? 6 carries, 26 yards, 2 catches, 13 yards, picked up the blitz, didn't fumble, played special teams. We're going to give this kid what? More reps. We're going to give him more reps. That's all you're looking for in some of these young quarterbacks. We're trying to see what they have. I think Mickey can play. I think trade offers will be entertained. Listen, the way Howie is, always. There's always going to be, Howie Roseman on the phone trying to make a deal. Always. And you're right. Maybe they do try. All I'm saying is the Dallas Cowboys, this notion right away, just relax. Which, oh, by the way, they already lost a guard. Rob Jones is out after breaking a bone in his neck for the Cowboys. That's brutal. That's horrible. You never wish that upon anyone, right? So like I said, all you're looking for is just give me some production. Give me something. If you are a Browns fan, you should embrace this tonight. You've got a lot of quarterbacks on the roster, and you know that one of them is pretty much done in Watson. His career's done. I don't care how much money they gave him. He's done. He's washed. He's cooked. You got Joe Flacco, who's a hit away from being done, and you got 3 other guys. And you kind of know what you have in the other one. And now you got 2 young guys. And you kind of know what you have in one. So that leaves who left? Sanders. Go out and make some plays. Don't get sucked into what, the solitary Stephen A's and the Orlovskis and the Coselles and the, all these clowns sit there and say. Start them in week 1. Sit them, cut them, bench them. No. Get reps. That's it. Reps. And I bet you there will be a play or two tonight where he pulls the ball down and takes off, and it'll be a wow factor. It'll be a wow play. And that's an element that the Cleveland Browns don't have. When you can scramble a little bit and you can pull the ball and tuck it in and run, and you can maneuver and you can pick up yardage, that's where we're at in the NFL. These quarterbacks that we're talking about, the top 4 or 5 guys that we've mentioned, what do they all have in common? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and let's throw, because he won a Super Bowl and he's MVP, Jalen Hurts. They can all run a little bit. They can all scramble. They can improvise. They can slide. They can get free out of the pocket. That's what coordinators, GMs, head coaches, that is the type of quarterback. The days of the pocket passer, the pure pocket passer in the NFL, those days are long gone. They're gone. To sit back in the pocket and sling it, Elway, who can scramble, but Marino, Peyton Manning, it's the prototypical guy, the quarterback with the strong arm, the Bledsoes of the world just hanging back in the pocket and just flicking the wrist. They're gone. There's no more of that. Yeah, there are quarterbacks that we see in the NFL that can hang in the pocket, but there also has to be an added repertoire to their game. They have to kind of dig deep into the toolbox. They have to have a certain element, and that element is the ability to scramble a little bit. I mean, hell, even Aaron Rodgers, Romo wasn't a scrambling quarterback, but what made Romo so special at times was the same thing that made Aaron Rodgers so special, the ability to they'd slide a little bit off their mark. You don't even have to get them off their spot. They just slide a little bit, slide a little bit to the right, slide a little bit to the left, and then they just flick it. They buy time. They move around a little bit. Quarterbacks in the NFL now, they got to be able to do that. Yeah, you can still be that, prototypical, right? You can still hang in the pocket. But the perfect example, my guy, Bo Nix, I'm high on Bo Nix. I'm a Bo Nix guy. Bo Nix last year put up really nice numbers, right? 30 touchdowns. He had 10 or 11 picks, threw for, almost 3,800 yards. But also, if you watch, He added another 400 or 500 yards rushing. He scrambled a little bit. He moved around out of the pocket. He had 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns. So you look at him and say, well, look at his arm, right? You hear that arm talent, whatever the hell that means. But look at his size, right? 6'2", 220, and strong arm. Yeah, but he still moved around. They want that type of quarterback. They want that type of quarterback in the NFL. They do. They want that guy. I kind of want to see your McLaurin list Commanders tonight, Q. Again, that's fine. I'm surprised you haven't gotten a jersey yet. That's all. I'm literally surprised you didn't get a jersey. He's cooked. He's done. That was horrible. I mean, it looked like he was running in cement. Aaron Rodgers. He looked so old and so slow. Like, show of hands right now. Show of hands. Hold on. Scott says, I told you a couple weeks ago, check the tape. I would take McKee over my quarterbacks. Oh, I listen, I trust you. We go on the honor system here. Scotty boy. Come on, Q. The Eagles' backup secondary is no match for Burrow and Chase. Yeah, they struggled. Plus, no D-line, no rush Burrow. I can't wait. When the Eagles fall on their faces this year and take a step back, all the arrogant, cocky fans, and you know exactly who you are, right? You know exactly who you are. You're going to sit there and get all giddy over Tanner McKee for throwing for 252 against who? But yet when I turn around and mention your corners, your secondary, and you're counter that with, well, and they struggled last night. And I think there's going to be an issue with that secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think teams are going to be able to throw against them this year. I really do. All I'm saying is don't get too cocky. Don't get too cocky. Super Bowl, congratulations. It was a hell of a run. We all talked about it. We waxed poetic about it. We gave the Eagles and their fan base their just due. But if you're going to sit there and get all giddy over a quarterback, you have no friggin' right then to come on the air and tell me don't get carried away over corners or secondary players or safeties or defensive backs. I don't want to hear it. Can't have it both ways, man. McKee shined? Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, Burrow went, 9 of 10, $123, 2 touchdowns. Ringo didn't play well. Jackson, who's been competing for a starting cornerback job, did they really give you any type of confidence? No. I mean, my guy Johnny Ringo was out of position on that 23-yarder from Burrow to Chase down the left sideline. So talking about a whiff, right? Sarge says, Q, are you a little surprised that McKee didn't fall to the 6th round? No, he fell to the 6th round. Oh, are you surprised he fell to the 6th round? I don't know. I didn't scout the kid. I can't answer that. Yeah, guys are getting so over. What's the word I'm looking for? Not even zealous over one preseason game. The kid can play. And listen, Howie Roseman's on the phone right now. Howie Roseman's getting trade inquiries for McKee as we speak. But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts plays the quarterback position a certain way. Jalen Hurts takes a lot of hits. Jalen Hurts delivers contact, absorbs contacts. Jalen Hurts is also due to probably miss a game here or there. So you're a defending Super Bowl champ. You know what you have in quarterback 1, which means you got to have a viable option in the backup spot. That's one of the reasons. And you need a quarterback. If you guys are as high as Tanner McKee as you say you are, then you need to have a quarterback in case your starter goes down that can win you some late games in the season. So, like I said, do they need the backup more than they need draft picks? Listen, the kid's good. He's good. And we saw even some, spots last year. He's sharp. Definitely sharp. But am I going to sit there and say, well, hey, he's the next coming of Knight Sudfeld, who threw for 330 yards against the Pats back in 2018? How'd that turn out? How'd that turn out for you guys? So that's great that you have a backup quarterback. If I'm you, I'm keeping the kid. I'm not trading this kid for draft picks. I'm not. I'm just not. Especially, the reason that I gave you. Because Jalen Hurts, the way he plays, he's due to take some hits. We both know that. Then what are the Browns doing? They didn't want him, but took him, and every other quarterback has had first team reps. It looks really crazy. They're not sabotaging, but they definitely don't have a plan. That I agree. They don't have a plan. That's exactly it. Even Lloyd brought it up last night on the show, and we mentioned it. They don't. They're shooting in the dark right now. They're shooting in the dark right now. They really are. They have no idea. There's no rhythm or rhyme to what Cleveland's doing. It is one of the more perplexing things I can recall over the last 15, 20 years in the NFL, that a franchise, and I'm not trying to pile on them, but this is just the reality. They just don't know what they're doing. And again, you get on the field, you have to have reps, right? And sometimes you get reps, sometimes you don't. So nobody, Louis Riddick, this is where he sounds like a jackass. And I'm sorry, he does. So the first part, when he says, I'm afraid he's going to get on the field in preseason games without a ton of reps. Okay, fine. That's fair. The second part is a contrived, lazy take that's fitting for the mothership. Quote, then they're going to ask him to perform these heroic tasks in order to prove that he's worthy of being a starter when he hasn't had enough reps to really get comfortable. Nobody said, if anyone has expectations that Shedeur Sanders needs to go out tonight and light the world on fire, you're a clown. You're a fool. You are a fool. That's not what we're battling with right now. We're battling with a rudderless ship. We're battling with a head coach that's trying to save his hiney. We're battling with a GM or an owner that pretty much already came out and said, I didn't really want the kid. So now that's an organizational failure. That has nothing to do with the player or personnel. That's guys, management, not on the same page. So like I said, that's not the reality. The reality of the situation is basically this, right? Flacco is the starter. He should be the regular season starter. Week 1, week 2, week 3. After that, all bets are off. So he's not going to see a lot of time in the preseason. And Kenny Pickett's dealing with a hamstring injury. And then the kid Gabriel is also sidelined. And then you got the other kid, Snoopa-Doopa, Tyler Huntley, who's just there to be a backup, a body for practice. So again, now all of a sudden you talk about the process of elimination. Sanders is going to get his reps. He's going to get out there. And that's what you want. That's it. It's an opportunity for him. It's not the most ideal opportunity. It's not the best situation, but it's life. It's not always perfect. You got to make do, with the hand you've been dealt. I mean, think about it. Everyone hyped this kid up. This kid, months ago, everyone was saying he was going to be the first quarterback taken. He's a top 5 pick. Everyone said that. Now, show of hands, still a little skeptical. But all the prominent people, prominent voices, prominent gurus said top 5. Top 5. Best quarterback on the board. Best quarterback on the board. Yeah, and you can't tell me they didn't say that, because they all did. You can all bookmark it. They all did. So now, here's the narrative. Well, he's a 5th round draft pick. He's got a great opportunity. It's not an ideal opportunity, but rarely do you have a shot as a 5th round draft pick to make some noise. So believe it or not, as goofy, as crazy, as a little local as this might sound, this might be a blessing in disguise for Shedeur Sanders. Because if we're going to sit there in one breath and say 5th round draft pick, low expectations, high reward, then just go out and play. Or there's going to be that sentiment that sits there and says, well, he should have been top 5. He dropped. Oh, man, this guy really stunk up the joint. Like, to me, embrace it. It might be a blessing in disguise. You've got quarterbacks that are injured. You got a quarterback that's never going to step on the field. You got a warm body, and you got Flacco that, is a hit away from going back to retirement and on the sofa. So, spin it. Try to look at the glass half full. I'm trying to be positive on a What the Frig Friday. I'm trying to give you a positive spin here. Take advantage. Grab the opportunity. Make it so hard for Stefanski and the brass to bench you, to sit you, to have you as the second string quarterback, the third string quarterback. Go out and play well. Get reps. Get more reps. Play well again. And then just keep putting pressure and pressure because now we got it on film. Hey, you know what? Joe's struggling, man. He can't move around. He's 38, 39, 40 years old. He's a hit away. Hey, look, Shedeur's been getting reps. Look pretty sharp in these preseason games. Here you go, week 4, week 5. Then that'll shut everyone up because it's not going to end. The conversation of Sanders ends when he's a starter, he either excels or he falls on his face and he's out of the league. That's it. And then we'll talk about it for a couple months and then we'll move on. And then we'll move on. Just make the most of your opportunity. That's all. Just make the most of your opportunity. So like I said, again, he doesn't have to just always sit back in the pocket. He can run a little bit. He can scramble. He can take off. Yes, he's got a nice arm. Yes, he's a tough kid. Yes, he plays with that edge, and that's what you want. But I watched him enough in Colorado where out of necessity, I can move around a little bit. Let me see that. That's a different element that these quarterbacks on this roster don't have. And sometimes you have to do it out of necessity. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Can't have a plan without knowing what they have. Correct. You walk into a car dealership, you're looking around, you see a nice Mercedes or a BMW or a Jag, and it looks all glossied and shined up. But, let's be honest. Aren't you going to pop the hood up, see what's under it, right? You have to. If you don't, then you're a fool, right? Scouts are hired by each team. Oh, thanks for telling me that. Browns sent the whole brass to Colorado for his pro day, so they don't know what they have, is they all need to be fired. That's literally their job. Nobody knows what you have. Nobody knows what you have. You can throw out scouts all you want. Because if that's the case, and let me counter that with this. Yes, teams have scouts. They do. And their job is to scout players. And sometimes they hit and sometimes they miss. So you can sit there and say that's all they have to do, but there's a little more to it. There's a little more to it. If you've ever spoken to scouts or player personnel like I have, it's just not going out there and looking at the player. You all have to be on the same page. And this is where no one's bringing this up. It's pretty clear. It's very evident that Brown staff, that coaching staff, they are not on the same page. They were not on the same page when it came to the draft. They weren't. And that's on the head coach's job. So the head coach isn't going to go to Jim Schwartz and talk about Sanders. They're going to go to Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator. All right, yeah. Are they going to go to Jeff Anderson, the defensive quality coach, and talk about? No, they're not. They might talk a little offensive line, quarterback coach, here we go, offensive assistant, this and that. But they're not on the same page. And the owner and the GM are not on the same page. That's evident. That is clear as day. But you have a head coach that is fighting for his life, his career. He is going to do the safe pick. The play is Flacco to start. All I'm saying is Sanders can make the decision harder on Stefanski by doing his job, by just going out and playing within himself, taking a shot here and there, playing a little loose, but playing a little smart, being aggressive, but being judicious with the football. Every quarterback, a young quarterback, you're pretty much, again, you're in the same spot, man. You're in the same spot. You get your reps and you go out to perform. There's really no more sugarcoating it. There's really nothing more that needs to be said about this. Giants had the same situation with Jackson Dart. They need to see what they have. You can tell me all you want about friggin' scouts. If that's the case, then the kid would be a week 1 starter. He's not. They drafted him after they signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston because it was not by necessity, but they knew future-wise they had to get a quarterback. They didn't need one right now. They could have lived with Russell Wilson or Jameis for a year or two, but it's not going to save Daboll and Joe Shane's job. And they're in the business of winning football games because they know if they lose, then the desperation move is to what? I mean, you guys know this. You've been watching football for how many years? Every time a team or a head coach is on the hot seat and they're losing some games, what do they typically do? They want to shake up the tree a little bit. They bench the starting quarterback. We need a little spark. It's not working. It's not working with A, B, and C. We're going to bench him. We're going to go with the young kid. And we know as a fan base, the fan base loves the backup quarterback. Fans clamor for the backup quarterback, most popular cat in the room in the stadium. Coaches do that when they're desperate. They do that when they're desperate. It's rare. It's rare when a young quarterback gets an opportunity to play when a veteran is not injured. Like case in point, when Coughlin decided to bench Kurt Warner. They were 5-3, I believe, and he started Eli. That took balls. It really did. It really did. Typically, veteran goes down, or maybe he's really struggling poorly, and then you're out of it, and you have no choice but to start a young player. But to start. What do we got here? Joe in Clearwater chimes in. Q, did you see what Tua did this afternoon? I know he had a horrible joint practice. I think he threw 2 or 3 picks. I mean, how about this? How about if you're Miami and you're in bed with Tua now? You are married to Tua with that contract. You don't think right now Miami might be thinking buyer's remorse? You take some of those offensive weapons in that ground attack away from little Tua Fish, he's in trouble. He's concussion prone. He gets hurt. And sometimes he throws really bad picks. Now, full transparency, I'm a Tua fan. But I also know what the reality is. And McDaniel, they might look for a viable option at the backup quarterback position. Because quietly, what they're saying down there is he's on borrowed time, Mike McDaniel. The act, it's kind of wearing thin. And you can sit there and try to be all philosophical. You can have a little fun. You can wax poetic. Now, they've got Zach Wilson on the roster. They've got the kid from Texas, right? I believe is the third string quarterback. You don't think they might pick up the phone to Howie Roseman? Hey, what can we get for this kid? Because Tua is injury prone and Zach Wilson can't play. Zach Wilson cannot play. He is a backup quarterback. And the kid's only 26. But I've seen enough of Zach Wilson. He can't play. He saw Ghost with the Jets. He saw Ghost. He can't play. He just can't. So now, save my job. And how are you going to save your job? Win football games. Now, who gives me the best chance of winning football games? That's all this is. That's all this is. Coaches need to win games. So if they feel that quarterback A gives them the best shot at winning, they get to start. They get to start. Whether we clamor and scream for the other quarterback, the backup quarterback, we want them to make a trade. We want them to, bench a guy. Coaches make the decision. That's it. Mike in Ohio chimes in. Q, to your commenter's point about the scout, you're right. There's a lot more to it. I just don't think this team has any type of plan of attack. I don't think this team has any type of path to victory. And quite frankly, I don't even think Stefanski lasts half the season. So Mike is a big Browns fan like Howie. So let's pull up the Brownies schedule for a second. How bad would they have to be how bad would it have to get for Stefanski to get fired during the season? Let's see. They've got Cincinnati to open up the season, which is a tough game. They've got the Ravens. They go on the road against Baltimore. They have the Packers at home. They have the Lions on the road. and then they have the Vikings at home. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games before they travel to Pittsburgh. If they're a 1-4 team with Flacco and he's struggling and the offense stinks and they're giving up 25 points a game and scoring 13 points, if Sanders is your best shot, Flacco gets benched, Sanders gets to start. Now, will they turn around and fire the head coach after 5 games, after 6 games? I mean, do you want to do that and then go to a rookie? To Mike's, I guess, thought or comment, I don't know. What are the odds? I hate even looking at this. NFL odds, first head coach fired. I mean, that's bad juju. Huh. Brian Daboll is the strong favorite to be the first coach fired with odds of 4-1. Mike McDaniel is 5-1. Wow, Taylor's 3-1. Wow. You get plus money on Dave's right now, huh? Plus 375. Where's Stefanski? Let me go to Odd Shark. See where Stefanski is. I wonder if some of these coaches even have an opportunity. I mean, I think Steichen might be one and done in Indianapolis. Let's see. If the Giants finish 3-14, Brian Daboll's done. I mean, he's 18-32 in 3 seasons. He's done. So we don't have to worry about that. Let me see. Wow. So the top 3 right now. So Stefanski's not even on the board here. Zach Taylor and Mike McDaniel, shorter odds. I think with Zach Taylor, the problem is you've got an MVP candidate in Joe Burrow. You got an MVP candidate in Jamar Chase. You got an All-Pro. You got T. Higgins. And you haven't made the playoffs in the last several years. That's not going to cut it. I mean, it's not. And aside from the fact that, Smoke and Mirage went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, he's 46, 52-1 in 6 seasons. So you've got one of the best offenses in the NFL over the last 5 or 6 years. And defensively, you're not good, right? And that's one of the reasons that they fired defensive coordinator. They brought in Al Golden, right? So now you got to have that turnaround. If they can't, and they spent in the offseason, right? But now you got the wrong side of contracts with some of your best players. That's never a good thing. You had the issue with Henderson, the issue with Stewart. He might be on borrowed time. He might be. 3 wins is definitely a lofty goal. Yeah. What did we say? The over and under was 4.5, and I'm still not feeling it. If the first 10 games are competitive and we are 2-8, I would not fire him, especially if Sanders has played in at least half of those games. So what if you are 2-3, Flacco looks good, but the defense stinks, right? If you're 2-3, the defense stinks, Flacco looks good, turn back the clock a little bit, they're not benching him. It's a bad spot. I don't envy the Browns fan. I feel for the Browns fan, man. It's got to be frustrating. All you want is a franchise quarterback. That's it. That's all you want. You just want a franchise quarterback. You want to be able to know, you got 17 weeks. You want to have an enjoyable 17 weeks, right? An enjoyable 17 weeks. No one's saying you got to go out and win every game, but just be competitive. Show some type of, give me a glimpse, a look into the future. I get it. I understand. I've been there. I dealt with Danny Cannell, Kent Graham, Dave Brown, when Jerry Glanville was saying, get your cape off, Dave Brown, get back in the game, when he was calling one of the Giant games. I mean, those are bad quarterbacks. And then obviously, you had Collins, and then from Collins, you bridged it with Kurt Warner, who had the hand issues at the time. So you're talking a stretch. 93 Sims retires. 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Okay, Collins, a cup of coffee, NFC Championship, looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback, comes back in the Super Bowl, 4 picks. What was it, 2 or 3 return, pick 6. And they almost got blanked by Baltimore. And thank God for Rod Dixon and a kickoff return. And other than that, you got to wait a couple more years. And then finally, you get through Kurt and you go to Eli. So I'm talking 93, 11-year gap. I understand the Browns' frustration. And I admire their plight. They just want to have a winning quarterback. They want a franchise quarterback. I get it. I feel for you guys. It's been such a rough 30 years. We want to win a Super Bowl, even if that means quarterback by committee. We don't care. Just give us the ball. Yeah. I mean, is there a more tortured fan than a Cleveland fan, than a Browns fan? I mean, you have the drive, and then Jeremiah Castillo, you had the Ernest Biner, the fumble. You even go back, for maybe, relatives of Scott, older uncles and stuff like that. You talk about those 79 Cleveland Browns, the cardiac kids, the cardiac Browns, Brian Sipe. Remember that squad? 79, 80. Not that I remember, but you watch highlights. That was a fun team, that 1980 squad. And then what are we going to do? We got the Raiders up against the ropes. All you got to do is kick the friggin' field goal in the playoff game. But nope, they decide to let, Sipe sling it, and he throws a pick. I mean, that's as bad as a loss that you can absorb as a fan base. So I get it. It's been such a long time for the Browns. You just want a little sniff. You want just a little taste, a little tease, a little touch. That's it. Just get to the playoffs. Anything can happen. And who knows? Maybe in a couple of years, right quarterback in place, that will become a reality. All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock. John Bueller on the other side.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
champion with us in Atlantic City.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 5 o'clock straight up, 60 in a book, 60 to play with. Take you up to 6. All my greatest memories on VHS. That's good. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, that's funny, but, not good for you. Mark the tape. Browns won't be a Ford team in this decade. De facto might have, maybe had a couple of cold beverages with that one. Let's see. What else we got here? Let me see. What do we got here? We've got Omar chimes in. Q, what are the chances that Prescott actually reverts back to form this year and the Dallas Cowboys win at least 10 games? I don't know about that. I mean, you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot. You paid Dak a lot of money, man. He's just not the same quarterback that he once was. He's just not. He's had a nice career, Dak Prescott has, but I don't look at Dak Prescott right now. I don't have any confidence that they're going to go anywhere with him. I don't even care what they do with Micah Parsons, to be quite honest with you. I don't. And that's great that Dak comes in and he looks absolutely shredded. He's 32. I mean, he looks like he's an Adonis. He should be on the cover of a magazine. That does nothing for me. It doesn't. Looks great. You look ripped. You look like you took care of your body, which is always a good thing, right? But he's breaking down. That offensive line is not where it used to be. And they're not on the level of Washington, and they're not on the level of the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, you can't win Super Bowls in June, July, August, but you can lose them. Like the way the Dallas Cowboys operate is just goofy. It really is. Jerry Jones, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense, and that's the problem. He doesn't have any type of, again, we talk about the path. Right? We talk about the path, like the path for the Cleveland Browns, the path for the Jets, the path for the Giants. Like if you don't have a path, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you're not going to win games. You're not. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not set at the quarterback position, it does no good. It does you absolutely no good. And now you've got these, again, we keep hearkening back to this. You got this, this idea, this thought, this sentiment that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sling it and I'm going to grab that job away after one series. It doesn't work like that, but you can make it tougher on the head coach. Look, Daniel Jones last night had a perfect opportunity to turn around and just say, hey, guess what, Shane? I'm the starter, man. Richardson's not. But he didn't do it. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other end. John Bueller is going to join us from Fansided.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 5:05. Our guy, John Bueller from Fanside, kind enough to join us on a Friday. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock, Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. Always good to touch base with you. Did you come out of last night's preseason and say to yourself, Tanner McGee is a Hall of Fame quarterback? Forget about Hurts, bench him, sit him. Here you go. You got your starter.
It's just amazing how much Stanford was holding him back.
That's right. That's right. It's all on Stanford.
He did. I think he beat Oregon that one time, but yeah, I think the Eagles have been. I think they also had like McCord too, so they've been looking at some good college quarterbacks coming in. We'll see what happens, but it's Hurts' team, man, for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I bring it up because Eagles fans get giddy. I mean, obviously, Hurts is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's the MVP. He's the face of the franchise. Him and Saquon. But now the thought is, okay, you had the kid go out there and play really well. Do you kind of dangle him out there? And I said, as much as you might want to dangle him out there because Howie's a magician when it comes to moving the money and the salary and the trades and maneuvering and manipulating the salary cap, Jalen Hurts will most likely miss a game or two. It's just a style of football that he plays, and that's not an indictment on him. So now you got a viable option as a backup that if you need to win a couple games, he's there. I don't think you trade him for picks right now, but there's 4 or 5 teams that definitely watched last night and said, hey, this kid could be our starter.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. Like the way Hurts plays, he may miss a game or two. I mean, also the fact that the Eagles have a really strong season, they'll have a bye, so he's going to end up playing. Like McKee would end up playing in that regard. But yeah, there's a bunch of teams out there that have no clue what they're doing at quarterback, namely the Indianapolis Colts. But a train wreck.
I thought last night, I mean, they were saying that that's on Richardson to play. Okay, great. But still, the running back can kind of help him out a little bit and chip. It's such unfortunate. But Daniel Jones could have really made the decision of Steichen, much more easier if he just went out and he was 18 of 23 for $185 and a couple touchdown drives, right? But he didn't do that. So it's like, okay, back to the drawing board. Anthony Richardson, get your hand right, get your finger right, and we'll see what we have. I still think it's going to be I believe there's going to be a quarterback controversy no matter what in Indianapolis.
Right. I just feel so bad for Shane Steichen. Seems like a good coach, but he's just in such a chaotic situation. There's like the ownership change. My opinions about Chris Ballard. Anthony Richardson had one game that was really good versus Utah back in 22, and he's still making millions because of that. We know what Daniel Jones is capable of. We also know what he's not capable of.
Correct.
I'm just there's probably about like 10 organizations out there where like, I'm just so done with the current operation. Can we just move on with this? That includes my Atlanta Braves too. I'm like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and just try something new because whatever this is not working.
Well, it's funny because now does that have to do with your Atlanta Falcons too? Because you still got a very expensive backup there in Kirk Cousins. I mean, what's the latest? Do you think they dangle him out? Can you see a scenario where they trade Kirk Cousins prior to the season?
Probably not till the start of the season. He's not going to play tonight. Neither is Penix versus the Lions, which I think is probably a good thing. Lions got kind of embarrassed in the Hall of Fame game. They're probably going to want to go out there and strut their stuff a little bit more than they should, probably because they don't have 2 elite coordinators anymore. But I think Atlanta is going to basically kind of wait and see, like, okay, is there going to be a Teddy Bridgewater type of injury? Is there going to be a Ryan Tannehill injury? Is somebody going to be that desperate to give us a 3rd-round pick for Cousins? And at that point, you need to basically be confident enough that Penix is going to play all the games. And you also got to see what Easton Stick is going to do potentially as your backup in that situation. He's looked okay at times with the Chargers, but he's really only a backup. So you sit there, you're not paying Penix that much money. You're in a good spot with this. But again, you kind of got like a bullet in the chamber. It's like, okay, we got to do something. And the Falcons may do that, but also like, Terry Fontenot may eat it if the team doesn't do well this year. They don't make the playoffs, and he may need to go.
Well, speaking of which, and we'll kind of get to that because it goes hand in hand, the head coach with the quarterback. I think, from what I'm hearing, they're kind of getting a little tired of Mike McDaniel act in Miami. And, Tua didn't look good in that joint practice. We know they paid him a boatload of money. He's dealing with the concussion. Sometimes he's sporadic and inconsistent. Can you see a ugly type of season for Miami? Like, off the rails, 6 wins, maybe 10 or 11 losses, Tua struggling, gets concussed again. And oh my God, we got buyer's remorse. And McDaniel's in there saying, don't say it's good morning because you're one more day closer to death, stuff like that. So, I mean, can you envision a scenario where everything goes off the rails for the Miami Dolphins?
100%. This may be a 4-13 team.
You see them as that bad?
I think there's other teams out there that aren't good that have more positive vibes coming out about them. Like Jacksonville, you've got Travis Hunter, but maybe you've got a really good receiving core. Maybe that's something that like Liam Cohen can build this team around. I think the Patriots have the potential to have a really good year. Really down on the Jets as well, just because I don't think Justin Fields is a starter. But there's other teams out there that I think, like even with the Browns, like if Flacco plays well or Shedeur comes in, they can win a couple of games. They've got a good operation there. But like this could be the last year for Mike McDaniel. This feels like it's the writing's on the wall for Chris Greer. So done with Tua. Zach Wilson's just going to be there for a year.
Right.
And if it's really that bad, let's just see if Quinn Ewers can play. And this is the guy that brought Texas back. Again, he's injury prone too. Arm's a little overstated, but the Dolphins, I'm really, really down on this. Like 2 through 3 picks versus the Bears in the joint practice today.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's awful.
Yeah. Well, and again, full disclosure, prior to them giving him that 4-year, $212 million contract extension, by the way, $167 million guaranteed, he's locked in 2028. I said, pay him. I said, I understand the injuries, but look at the numbers. You could have argued a couple years ago, he was MVP of the league before he got hurt. But as I've seen up close and personal with a guy like Daniel Jones, you pay these guys the knee-jerk reaction. You go on the road, you win a playoff game here and there, or win a playoff game at home, or win a division. The market says we need to pay you X. Am I paying you for what you did or what I think you're going to do? In the case of Daniel Jones, I think they kind of paid him for what he did. We screwed you with the offensive line. Let's pay you for what we believe you're going to do. It didn't work out. Tua, I think, showed when he's healthy and all the weapons, everyone's clicking, he can put up prolific numbers. The problem is the big if. Like, he's always banged up. He's always hurt. He's another hit away. He gets concussed this year. I mean, he's done. Yeah. I don't care what his family says. I don't care what he says. I mean, it's malpractice. You're not going to let him suit up and take the field. So I'm wondering if you think they kind of have that buyer's remorse right now, and they're kind of, stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, like it's so tough to evaluate too. He was so good at Alabama. He had such a beautiful spiral. Beat my alma mater with a 2nd and 26 and just a soul crushing game for Georgia. He goes to Miami. He's making it work amid a very chaotic circumstances, and then he just keeps getting hurt, just kind of undersized. That was kind of always my big knock on him, is like, is he going to hold up? He didn't really hold up in college. We'll see what happens. But if Miami has as bad of a season as I think they may be needing to look for a quarterback. Like maybe this is a place where Cade Klubnik goes out of Clemson. Mm-hmm. That's a guy that I think could kind of fit there. Got to see if he can win from behind at Clemson, but I mean, I don't know. Like Arch Manning's not going to come out, as Grandpa Red said. That's not happening. And then you look across the board, like who else is going to be up there? Maybe Nussmeier, maybe Aller, maybe Sellers, Levitt if Arizona State has a good season, but
probably not as sexy as a class you would think if we threw in Arch's name. But still, the kid has to go out and prove himself. Which, by the way, screws a lot of Plan Bs for some of these NFL coaches and GMs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I want to go back to something you said with Cleveland. Like, I think it's a train wreck. But I also was trying to be positive and saying, look at the glass half full of your Sanders. Like, everyone's pushing narrative A, B, and C. Okay, fine, I'm done with it. You can push your narrative, your agenda. You've got an opportunity now. If you play well, then you make the decision a little harder on Kevin Stefanski. The problem is Stefanski is fighting for his career right now. So he's going to play it safe, and that's going to be Flacco. But I think if Sanders goes out and plays well, hell, even if he plays bad, it's almost going to be like that Arch Manning on the road against Ohio State. Everyone on Monday, it's an overreaction, an underreaction, too extreme, not enough opinion. So I'm not going to say he's in a no-win situation. I just think he's in a unique situation, but he can still make the best of it if he goes out and he plays well tonight, even if it's for a series or two.
Oh, totally. Like if he goes out there and plays like he can, like I know he's capable of, then you're looking at him like, okay, this dude's going to make the team. Like this is the guy that I kind of want to back up Flacco learn the ropes from him and see where this could go in his career. I mean, I think Pickett's just a wasted roster spot, probably
Agreed.
as much as Tyler Huntley. We'll see with Dylan Gabriel. I don't think he's got an NFL body. But if he goes out there and plays like he did at the peak of what he did at Colorado and Jackson State, then yeah, you got something to invest in. On the other side of the coin, if he does the thing that I'm afraid he's going to do, which is his worst trait, which is hold on to the ball too long against not a great defense for the Carolina Panthers, you think that's going to work against a halfway decent team? And again, I think Carolina is trending up, but they're kind of a year away. Like, is that?
I think so too.
Yeah, like
make some noise.
If you do that versus Baltimore, you've got no shot. Baltimore's got like the best secondary in football. Yeah.
But that's why he's got to, and I know like people pointed out, and I kind of already know, like I still think he's got to have a little bit of that running ability, right? Out of necessity, scrambling a little bit, improvising, getting out of traffic, getting out of harm's way. He's a tough kid, no doubt. And I want to see what he can do in a clean pocket. But to your point, he can go 6 of 7 for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns and a nice 50-yard touchdown drive in the first half. And then tomorrow, some idiot's going to sit there and say, well, look who he was thrown against. Like, it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I don't know. If I'm Stefanski and I'm fighting for my job, I probably sit down right now with the organization and I say, look, I'm going to give Joe 4 games.
Yeah.
We're going to give him 4 games. And if we stink up the joint, you fire me. But I'm doing it my way. I'm going to give Flacco a chance to save my hiney because he's a veteran. But I also, let's see what the kid has. Because as you mentioned, Watson's done, Gabriel is done, not good, and Pickett stinks, right? And you can throw 10 more quarterbacks in there or another one, make it a baker's dozen. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm doing if I'm Stefanski. Like, let me save a little grace because let's just say they win a couple games to start. There's a little buzz. Then Sanders sits, he waits. Flacco's turning back the clock. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be a 1-4, 1-5 struggling team, and it's going to get ugly. And I'm not going to say they're going to fire Stefanski during the season, but that guy's kind of in a no-win spot too, right? Because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
It's the consequences of having a chaotic owner. I mean, Jimmy Haslam's going to be all sorts of mad because his alma mater, Tennessee, is going to be pretty bad this year with Joey Aguilar filling in for Nico Iamaleava. But then you look at like this, I'm totally right there with you. You got to go with Flacco for the first 4 games to save your hide. And at that point, you need to basically convince Haslam and the rest of the organization that Sanders is worth it because, again, Haslam was all about Gabriel because I think he was wowed by Oregon for some reason last year, whereas I think Sanders was more of like a Andrew Berry Stefanski type. And look,
correct.
If Haslam inevitably fires Stefanski and Berry, they're going to get hired immediately by well-run organizations. Maybe not as a head coach. Maybe
you're that high on them too.
Yes, they've brought stability to this. They've brought relative stability to this franchise that I haven't seen since like I could like legally drink a beer or like.
So you're pretty much laying the blame at the feet of the owner, which I have no problem with.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out with either quarterback, you're going to be picking in the top 5, top 10. If you want to go draft hometown hero Drew Allerger right ahead, maybe get someone better, but at least you'll have some level of clarity by the end of the season. And at least the Browns, like they're trying to find it, whereas the Colts are just lying to themselves.
So without again belaboring the point with the Browns, why do you then in consecutive rounds and back-to-back rounds draft 2 quarterbacks? Like what if I were to ask you, what do you really think the logic was behind that? Like if you're a fly on the wall in their war room, I don't even know if they have a friggin' war room. Maybe they're using a flip phone. I don't know. But what do you think the logic behind that?
Okay, so I'm going to draw a comparison to what happened with Washington back in 2012.
Okay.
Well-run coach, a really good coaching staff, liked Kirk Cousins. The owner liked Robert Griffin III. And
Yep.
Robert Griffin III won the Heisman, was probably a better college player, but Cousins had a lot of promise there at Michigan State, a guy that I saw do good things there. For Mark D'Antonio.
That was Shanahan. 2012 was Shanahan.
Yeah. Shanahan, Kyle, and
Kyle Shanahan.
Mike
Jimmy
Shanahan.
Haslam was defensive coordinator. Okay.
Yeah, and then Jimmy Haslam's like, I really like this Dylan Gabriel guy, and then Stefanski and Barry's like, I think Shedeur's a better player. That's kind of what I think's happening here. I could be wrong here, but like, I think that's kind of the case. Anytime you see a team that is dysfunctional taking two quarterbacks in the same draft, not that far apart. Like,
But they're certainly not on the same page.
no, not at all.
And the owner's not going anywhere.
No.
Right. So it's probably going to be the GM, and it's, most likely the head coach. Man, I like this comment. Any chance this Arch isn't coming out, just a ploy so crap teams don't tank for him. See, but that I bury the notion of teams tanking because I still don't believe in it. But I understand maybe it's a ploy where, hey, Eli all over again. We don't want to go to certain teams. Or do you really believe that the kid wasn't going to come out?
He is not coming out. I mean, the only way he'd come out is if Texas went 16-0. And even at that point, like, you only have 18 starts. Yes, you went 18-0 over the course of 2 years, but then, that's how many starts Anthony Richardson had at Florida. And you look how much of a struggle it's been for him with the Colts. Everything with the Mannings is premeditated. Everything with the Mannings is calculated. Everything with the Mannings is basically paved in gold. It's just like they will do everything in their power to protect Arch for as long as possible. They will handpick the team that he's going to go to. Whether or not he deserves to go there in 27 remains to be seen. It's not going to be the Saints. It's not going to be the Colts. It's not going to be the Giants, because you have to live up to the legend of your grandfather and your two uncles. Those three teams, I'm sorry, it's not happening.
It's a very good point. That's a really good point that you bring up. And you're right. I mean, it's, very hard to go somewhere, replace the man to beat a man. And, the last thing you want to do is go walk in, Giant Stadium and start walking around and seeing the Super Bowl statues and, the numbers retired and the jersey, and you're looking up and you're getting a glimpse of number 10 and you're like, that's a lot. That's an enormous amount of pressure. And you're right. They will probably bubble wrap him and they'll do everything calculated, pretty much like they did with Eli.
I just don't know what team it's going to be in 27. Like, who's got a quarterback right now that we don't trust? I mean, I'm going to put it out there. In the event that J.J. McCarthy stinks, maybe he goes to the Vikings.
I was going to say Indianapolis. Yeah, what's the read on J.J. McCarthy? Like, I feel like everyone has their own opinion, and he probably got, really gassed up by Harbaugh. Like, do you believe this kid can play? He's coming off a major injury. Obviously, missed his rookie season. But what's your thoughts on him?
I'm going to be fair, because I'm the biggest McCarthy critic known to mankind. He was propped up at Michigan, tremendous 5-star player coming out of high school in Greater Chicagoland, played 1 year at, I think, the IMG Academy down there in Bradenton, Florida, goes to Michigan, doesn't beat out Cade McNamara right away. Too talented to keep on the bench, has a certain level of poise, certain level of confidence, can move around, can throw it really hard, doesn't know where it's going to go all the time. But like,
not a good thing if you're a quarterback.
kind of a Pied Piper, if you will, where I think it could work. You can't tell anybody in the Twin Cities this guy's not going to work, because they refuse to accept that. But there's just too much Zach Wilson in him for me to really buy in. I think there might be a slightly better version of him in college in Drew Aller, but again, like, not quite there. And I'm not ruling out the fact that the Vikings could be really good. I've been really wrong on them a bunch, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl in 50 years. And this is the guy that was the quarterback in his draft class that had the furthest way to go, was the least pro ready, and then he got hurt. And even though I think Kevin O'Connell is a fantastic offensive mind, ownership's good, they got a great roster around him, overqualified defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. It's all coming up, but he's got to make it happen. And I don't know if any of his weapons are going to be ready to go, and they've got a really tough first 5 games or so on the season. So it could be a rough year for Minnesota, but I could beat and crow.
But, to also kind of piggyback on your point a little bit, you're not you, but you as in a whole, and maybe some of the Viking fans, if they have this expectation of this kid coming in and putting up the numbers that Darnold did last year and then winning 14 games and have an opportunity for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. It's just not happening.
No, like, Detroit might pull back a little bit, but like, I think that's still a playoff team. Green Bay's got a very high ceiling, and maybe Chicago's better. So like, there's only so many wins to be had in a very competitive division. Minnesota will pull back a little bit. Maybe they'll pull back a lot, but like you're not doing what you did a year ago with Sam Darnold. I'd be stunned if that happened. And if that happens, like give him rookie of the year, give O'Connell like all the money in the world, make him the most expensive, highest paid coach in football.
If I gave you, and I'm sorry I have to do this, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and Caleb Williams right now, and said, "Hey, build your franchise around this guy," who would you build your franchise around?
Oof. Okay. Not Richardson, not at all. I'd build my franchise around Zach Wilson over him. And I think because I'm a big fan of Dave Canellis, I might actually go Bryce Young here. I think they're properly aligned. I think there's some incongruencies there with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, but I think they're going to clash, and we're starting to kind of see this already.
Yeah.
And
he's a little immature, is he not?
Yeah, like a little bit immature. And I think Ben Johnson bit off more than he can chew. I think he thinks he left the Lions to go coach this guy, but this guy is probably closer to Jeff George than Cam Newton. Like there's going to be some mercurial component.
That's not. But see, when you say Jeff George, we're not. I don't think you're talking arm talent. I don't think you're talking your arm strength. I think you're talking between the ears.
Jeff George had probably the best arm ever.
Correct, but he had no ticker, and he was
goofy. No, there's a little bit of that with Caleb Williams too. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's I think they need to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They still have a relatively young back in Swift who was underutilized with the Philadelphia Eagles a couple of seasons ago. But I think that's tough, man. I mean, Detroit's good. Green Bay, I'm still indifferent on Jordan Love. Minnesota, again, we kind of wait and see. Maybe if you're actually saying the NFC North, and if you go by my rationale, then maybe the Bears could be a 500 team that's maybe on the cusp of a wild card. But I think it's all contingent upon the quarterback play. And, that offensive line's got to do a better job. That kid was sacked 68 times last year.
He plays his best off script, ad-libbing, and in 2-minute situations because that's what he ran in Lincoln Riley's air raid. Doesn't know how to take the snap under center. And we know with Ben Johnson, he loves running the football.
Yep.
And the 2 tight end sets. I was not high on Colston Loveland being the number 10 overall pick, but that guy's been very impressive in camp right now. And I think that, I could be wrong. In the moment, I'm like, that's a bit of a reach. But he was a great player at Michigan, and I think he's going to be able to help the passing game a lot, really bring out the best in Cole Kmet. Remains to be seen what if Rome Odunze is going to pan out wide. But, he's got weapons, but you're absolutely right. You're not going to be able to do it with a porous offensive line.
I feel like I haven't even asked you, and I know you're a big-time college guy, and you do a great job covering college football as well. I haven't really even asked you if you were to project Cam Ward, right, first season in Tennessee, right, because he's getting the green light from the get-go. There's always going to be bumpy patches, some rough road ahead. Do you believe he can be that franchise quarterback? He can be the quarterback under center for the Titans for the next 8, 9, 10, 11 years?
I think so. I think he's got to get better in front of the podium. He definitely didn't help himself throughout the draft process. He still went number 1 because he's got that quick release and started at Miami. He's got to get better at the podium. I think he's got a great offensive-minded head coach in Brian Callahan. And again, I think that ownership there is screwy. Don't really know what Mike Borgonzi is going to be as a GM. It would not shock me if the Titans win the AFC South this year. Because
we have on a What the Frig Friday, bookmark to take, as we like to say. Bookmark it. It would not surprise you. Hold on a second. I got to pull up these Titans odds. Hold on. We're going to get a lot of value. So plus 2,000, by the way, to win the Super Bowl, but to win the my Jags fans are not liking that right now.
No.
Plus 600 to win the AFC South. So that means you think the Colts are going to be a train wreck because of the quarterback situation, which we'll put that right there. Houston, that they take a step back. If they take a step back, is that because of CJ Stroud?
It's maybe a little bit. Maybe they missed their window. I'm still not entirely sure if Nick Caserio is a really good GM. Maybe there's just a lot of pressure on them. Houston's kind of like last couple of years with Stroud and DeMeco Ryans have eked out a lot of those close wins. And Jacksonville could be pretty good too. I think that they've got an identity offensively, got to become more sound on defense. And maybe they can win a bunch of shootouts, but live by the shootout, die by the
How about
shootout.
sure.
And Ward, he's got a little bit of. I mean, his comp coming out is Joe Burrow, and that's who Brian Callahan coached. So I don't know if he's going to be as good as he was, but like there's something there where I think the people are going to rally around him. Whereas I think in Jacksonville, people are kind of like, "Come on, Trevor, do it, man, do it, do it."
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of Jacksonville who have a big time. You can say was a Steelers fan and then converted to Jacksonville because he loves Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter. He still believes Hunter is going to win, offensive, rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and I don't think that's going to happen. But you can always dream. I feel as though I've been too big on Trevor Lawrence, maybe because I loved him in college. I was like, oh man, I would love for the Giants to grab Trevor Lawrence. I knew it was going to happen, but I feel as though you're right. It's like, if not now, when? Like, how many more seasons are we going to say, hey, this is the season for Trevor Lawrence to kind of break through?
Yeah, Liam Cohen got Will Levis drafted at Kentucky. I mean, he's helped reinvent Baker Mayfield's career in the wake of like Dave Canellis and everything like that. Really good offensive mind. Don't really know if he's a leader of men. He kind of seems kind of dorky to me, but that's whatever. It doesn't matter as long as the Jaguars respond to them. But Trevor Lawrence, I don't necessarily know like if he's like, this is year 5 for him, and everybody's like, oh, he's next Peyton Manning, he's next Andrew Luck. Not really a tractor, kind of more of a trailer there. But again, like if it doesn't happen this year, like he's just going to be who he is, and that's fine. Like he's a starting level quarterback, but like it's like him and Bryce Young, they got to make it happen this year. They got to take a step up here for their teams to really do what they need to do.
I think Bryce Young, I think he's in a good spot because it's all about culture. If you can be a young quarterback. Like, again, we always talk about finding the right spot, the right fit for you. Jaden Daniels, because they've cleaned up all the nonsense in Washington, is in the perfect situation and perfect scenario. Shedeur Sanders is not because of the organization, right? Bryce Young, I think is, as you alluded to, the head coach. You can see that team, right? You can see when a team is winning 2, 3, 4 games, and then all of a sudden make a couple of acquisitions. Quarterback starts to take that, that jump second, third year. And maybe it's because a lot of bettors are backing Carolina. Now, you went out and said you believe that the Titans could potentially win the South. I think there is some thought. Tampa's the best team in the South, but man, God forbid Baker gets hurt or he has one of his, 4 or 5 game stretches. He reverts back to old Baker. Sorry about your Falcons, but the Saints are going to stink. Maybe Carolina sneaks up on a couple people and, they win a couple games to start the season. They at Jacksonville, Arizona, the Falcons, the Patriots, they got an opportunity to win a couple early games.
Yeah, if you split with Atlanta and Tampa, if the Saints are that bad, you go 4-2 in the division, and that's 4 wins right there. You've got some confidence.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me a little bit of how I felt about Arizona last year. Like there's some positive things going on here. I think there may be a ceiling with Kyler Murray. Yes, 2 diminutive quarterbacks here, but I think Young's got a little bit more growth here. And I think really the thing is like, the guys are rallying behind Jonathan Gannon there in Glendale, but he's a defensive-minded head coach, and Canales is an offensive-minded guy. So that probably helps necessitate like Young's potential growth here as well. I mean, I think they could win the NFC South. I'm not going to bet on it by any means, but like they could win 10 games. I'm not ruling that out.
All right, brother. I know I held you for a lot of time. What you got going on? Pardon me, this weekend with the blogs and Fansided?
College football's back. Read a lot of interesting stuff about this. Kind of talked about some fallout from the coaches poll, like why Oregon's not a top 5 team, why Michigan's not a top 10 team. I also read about 8 teams that got to take the NFL preseason games seriously. That would include teams like the Colts. I don't know if they did. Browns need to. I think the team like the Panthers needs to. Seattle, Raiders as well. the podcasts are going really well. We now do YouTube Shorts on False Start.
Nice.
We figured that out. Shout out to my colleague, co-host, and boss Cody Williams for figuring that out. Obviously, got the Falcons having a preseason game tonight here with the Lions. I'll have some stuff about that on Wednesday's show, just in context of what's kind of going on there ahead of this season. But yeah, just check out anything I write on fanside.com, all my colleagues, anything under the Fansided Minute Media umbrella, that would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome, brother. You always give great insight and analysis. I always appreciate the extra time. Enjoy the preseason. We'll overreact next week with Sanders and all these other quarterbacks, but appreciate you jumping on board for a couple of moments, pal.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Always look forward to coming on your show every Friday.
Oh, brother. Thank you so much, John Bueller. He does a great job, man. I always enjoy when he comes on. All right, I know I'm a little behind. 5:35. Quick timeout. We'll come back.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Become a champion with us in Atlantic City.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 540. Excellent stuff from John Bueller, as always, from Fanside. I appreciate him jumping on board for a couple moments. Let me get more to these messages, some Facebook comments as well. Tommy D in Summers Point chimes in. Q, I thought the Eagles played relatively well. I'm not going to get too high. It's all about the regular season. Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys, they are going to wax the dreaded Cowbells. Realistically, how many wins do you think the Eagles will have this season? Those are always loaded questions. Are they a 10-win team? They should be. And are they an 11-win team? Probably. Right? They open against the Cowboys. We'll give them a win. Now, maybe they lose that game against Kansas City. 1-1. Let's just say they beat the Rams 2-1. Who knows? Maybe they lose a shootout to Tampa 2-2. Broncos, Giants, Vikings, Giants. Now you're talking 6-2 after 8. On the road to Green Bay, that's a tricky game. Maybe that's a loss. Lions. Listen, there's no. They got the Bills too, the Commanders and the Bills. Let's 12-13 win. They were 14-3 last year. Philadelphia Eagles are not winning 14 games this year. They're not. That was a great team. That was a really great team last year. A really great team. And they peaked when they had a peak. And to Lloyd's point from the other day, I don't think they're going to run Saquon like they ran him last year. I think they're going to be very smart with Saquon and his carries, especially, let's just say they are an 8-2 team and they start running away with the NFCs. I don't know. Washington takes a step back, right? You're saving Saquon for what? You're saving him for the playoffs. You're saving him for the playoffs. At this stage of his career, 2,000 yards, offensive, what was he, player of the year, unbelievable, right? Historic season, all those stats, won a Super Bowl. Come on. Broncos versus the Niners preseason tomorrow. How do you feel about starters playing? I am a believer in playing starters in the preseason. If not, preseason game number 1, but at some point during the preseason, I know everyone wants to stick the quarterback and the starters in bubble wrap, and you want to suit these guys up. And that's pretty much why you'll hear defenses are always ahead of the offense come week 1. That hasn't been the case over the last several years. We've seen games that have just been, high scoring in week 1, 2, and 3. I'm a proponent of playing the starters. I really am. Am I going to sit here and scream on Monday if Brock Purdy, got a couple reps in, or Bo Nix got a couple reps in? Maybe you don't play him tonight, but I would venture to guess if you're a Denver fan, you throw Bo Nix out there against the Cardinals, you throw him out there in that last preseason tune-up against New Orleans, and then for the most part, the guys that are vying for that, 59, 60, 61, 60, whatever the spot is, if they're sitting, they pretty much have already locked it up. And then you're figuring out who's going to make the team late, who's going to get the cut, who's going to make the cut. I believe, you have the joint practices, but it's not like the preseason. And remember, years ago, you go back, NFL preseason used to be 5 games back in the day? Five games. That's crazy. Like, who the hell wants to play, 4 or 5 games in a preseason? I mean, it was like, it was such a waste. It was such a waste. And preseason meant nothing. 4 games, sorry. 93, 94, 95, 4 games. But preseason means nothing. No one cares. All you're looking to do is get out of there unscathed. That's it. You don't want your starters to get hurt. You don't. The Jets actually played 5 preseason games. A couple teams played 5 preseason games in 92. Crazy, right? That's really crazy. 5 preseason games. Now we're like, get rid of them. Nobody wants to deal with preseason games as well, right? Not wishing injury on anyone, but what team is positioned best to handle a season-ending injury to their star quarterback, wide receiver, running back? What defense can step up like that, like this, through all those injuries? Oh, that's a great question. That's a really good question. But let's just take the Eagles for a moment. The way they're built, they have that next man up mentality. Now, if you lose Saquon and Jalen Hurts for an extended amount of time, they're in trouble. I mean, they're just in trouble. Can you get away with, and I'm not, no disrespect to McKee or Shipley or AJ Dillon, can you lose Hurts for 2 or 3 games and rely on Saquon and have McKee go out there? Yeah, you can. Absolutely. And their defense is their defense. If you were to ask me this, what teams are equipped when we start talking about, from the quarterbacking position and the backup position? Well, I'll give you a perfect example. If Lamar Jackson goes down, the Ravens are done. The Ravens are done. Cooper Rush can't play. I don't care what he did in a cup of coffee with the Dallas Cowboys. I don't. He can't play. He can't play. He's not Lamar Jackson. The same could be said with Burrow. And we already know their defense is a little suspect, Cincinnati, coming into the season based on what we saw over the last several years. Burrow goes down, you got who? Jake Browning, Desmond Ridder. At least if Russell Wilson goes down, you can always go to Jameis Winston, right? There's few teams that you can't, I'll give you a team that I think, believe it or not, if Dak Prescott goes down, I think Milton can kind of keep them afloat. I don't believe they're going to win a lot of games. But if Hurts goes down, Mahomes goes down, Jackson goes down, Burrow goes down, they're in trouble. Those teams are definitely in trouble. Trey Lance can't play. I don't care. Harbaugh got all fired up the other day. I felt bad for the kid. He's bounced around. It was a horrible draft pick by the 49ers. Horrible draft pick. But, the other thing is I can't put too much stock in these guys. I can't. I really can't. So, I don't know. It's just my thought. We will see. You never want quarterbacks to go down. I know you weren't wishing that on anyone, right? You're not wishing that on anyone. So, like I said, I don't know what teams would be equipped for that. I think they would struggle. I think they would struggle. You need a team that has a really good, like the Eagles defense can win some games, right? Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, we're not sure just yet with that defense. We got to see how it plays out. If Allen goes down, Mike White, Trubisky, I don't know about that. That's why the quarterback position is the most scrutinized, over-evaluated, knee-jerk reaction. We give too much love, too much blame, position in all in sports. Your center goes down in the NBA, you figure it out. Goalie goes down in the NHL, you got to back up. Your starter goes down in baseball, well, you got 5 in the rotation. You can figure it out. Quarterback goes down in the NFL. It's so rare. And even the quarterbacks that have stepped up, that were backups, and they've won, and it's been a few, it's been a handful, those were, everything had to work perfectly for them. It really did. Carson Wentz goes down, it was Foles' time. It was Foles' time, and he played exceptionally well, had a couple big playoff moments, and he looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback in the Super Bowl. He looked like the Hall of Fame quarterback in the Super Bowl. Hostetler comes in, replaces Sims. The best play Hostetler made in that Super Bowl was holding on to the football when Bruce Smith sacked him in the end zone for a safety. That's a touchdown. The Bills are winning that game. He didn't do anything magical. He just basically managed the game. So if your defense can pick you up and carry you, you're going to be okay. But it's so hard now in the NFL because the backup is the backup for a reason. Like if we were to go through 32 teams and say, well, you know what? The backup is just as good as the quarterback. Then how many teams have a quarterback controversy, right? There you go. Like Man said, it's the smallest gap between the starter and the second string. I can maybe I can sit there and say, that wasn't an easy field goal by Norwood. Stop. I can sit there and say, kind of like the field goal that Matt Barr made in the NFC Championship game, 5 of them. If I'll give you the perfect example. How about the Giants? Is Russell Wilson at this point of his career that much better than Jameis Winston? I mean, we can use the Browns until the cows come home because that's shooting fish in a barrel. You got 5 quarterbacks, right? But is Russell Wilson light years at this point of his career, at this point, better than Jameis Winston? I'm not so sure. Honestly, I'm really not so sure. Can Jameis Winston come in and win some games? Yeah. We've seen Jameis Winston throw for over 30 touchdowns before. We've seen him throw for 5,000 yards. So the Browns are easy to say because they don't have a clear-cut, defined starter. So yes, that's the first team we think of, Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns. Because you're not asking much. You're really not. Flacco goes down. We know you're going to stink. Gabriel goes down. We know you're going to stink, the team-wise. Pickett comes in. Shedeur comes in. All right, we don't know yet. Gabriel comes in. We don't know yet. Or if they start one of those guys, Flacco's on the bench, we don't know yet. So to me, to your point, I look at the Giants, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, but the gap with all these other quarterbacks. Here, Indianapolis. If Anthony Richardson goes down, Daniel Jones is just as good, if not better, than Anthony Richardson. And Cleveland, it's throw a dart, right? All right, fast approaching 6. Quick timeout. We'll close it out.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Become a champion with us in Atlantic City.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
It's going to be very funny and interesting to hear, the national media come Monday. It really is. Because you're going to get, no matter what, you will get the kid never had a chance to, he can't play. It's just going to be nauseating. It really is. It's just going to be annoying at this point Mike chimes back here. That's a good analogy and good comp with the Giants. I think Winston is just as good, if not better, than Russell Wilson right now. Yeah, I mean, Kevin C doesn't agree, but Kevin C's love him to death, but he's kind of a delusional Giants fan. Thinks they're going to win, 8 or 9 games, which is not happening. Quarterback position, man. That's why these guys get paid. So you got the Lions and the Falcons tonight. Detroit's laying 3.5 at home. The Browns, that'll be a 7. Oh, okay. So obviously that game's on the NFL Network. I glossed over that. That is 7 o'clock. So you guys can be all nestled in and you can listen to the hour pregame hype on one Shedeur Sanders. Then you've got my Washington Commanders at 7:30 against the Patriots, a team that will knock off the Philadelphia Eagles and win the NFC East. Tomorrow you got the Giants and the Bills. Bills laying 3. Giants better get used to being underdogs. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. NFL Network, Texans and the Vikings. NFL Network at 4. Cowboys and the Rams. That's at 7. Dallas is laying 2. Vince is oh my good. Vince, what are you going to do tomorrow? Steelers and the Jags? Oh my goodness. You got to split that jersey in half, my friend. Jacksonville's laying 4.5. Titans and the Bucks. Tennessee laying 3.5. Jets and the Packers. Packers laying 3.5. Kansas City and the Cardinals. Cardinals laying 5. Broncos, 49ers. Denver, 7-point favorite in that one. Sunday, Chicago's laying 3 at home. And then the Saints and the Chargers will cap off preseason week 1. Chargers at home, but the Saints laying a point. So there's your preseason slate. NFL. Do with that what you will. Baseball-wise, Yankees back in action tonight against the Astros. I'll talk a little more baseball next week with Steve Gardner, because it's getting to that time right now. It's getting to that time. 6.5 back. By the way, don't look now, but the Phillies just, even though they've lost a couple here and there, the Mets have stunk. Soto has stunk. He's been in a slump. They've dropped 4 straight. They're 2.5 back of the Titans. Cubbies 4 up over the Brewers. And the Dodgers and the Padres, that looks like it's going to come down to the wire in the NL West. San Francisco, Arizona, they are fading very, very fast. All right, got to start wrapping up on a Friday. Q, please give out the gambling addiction number, because anyone betting preseason may need to consider making a call. Well, it's always RG, 1-800-GAMBLING. Hey, no one's listened. You do not bet what you don't have. Some people bet on the preseason because sometimes they're a little more high-scoring games. I feel bad if you took the Raiders last night in the money line with that blocked field goal. Intercorporation, the 49ers in Denver. I hope Denver absolutely waxes the 49ers tonight. Beat them by like 36. No division of loyalty here. # Duval. Nah, you're probably going to wear black and gold socks. And then you got the Trevor Lawrence jersey, just the loose fitting, right? The starter jersey of Trevor Lawrence. All right, I got to start wrapping up. Good stuff from John Bueller from Fansided. Don't forget, Back in the Saddle on Monday. As I mentioned, working on a couple different platforms as well. You guys can check us out on X, on my YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q, TikTok Rich Q on the mic. You guys enjoy the preseason tonight, right? Enjoy the preseason games. Have a wonderful Sports Friday. If you guys go out and about, be safe, be sound, give yourself a little more time to get to wherever you need to be. If you bet on the games, be smart about it, be judicious, keep a little coin in the pocket. I'm almost done Jack Reacher, by the way. Season 3. I'm almost done Jack Reacher. And for those that actually had substance to their comments today, I definitely appreciate that, as always. For the rest of you knuckleheads, troll away on a Friday. Take it somewhere else. All right. Appreciate John Bueller. Also, capture us on Triax57, Triax57.com. Everyone have a wonderful Sports Friday. We will be back in the saddle on Monday. We got some new gambling shows dropping earlier in the week. And no, because you tell me I'm not going to read the comment, I'm not going to read the comment. So you know what? Go take a hike there, buddy boy. You guys have a wonderful Sports Friday. We'll be back in the saddle on Monday. As always, be safe, be sound. Hasta luego with you.